Week 14 is the week of rivalry matches here, and the Chicago Bears are looking to get revenge on the Detroit Lions after they just played a couple weeks ago where the Lions beat them at home in a crazy comeback victory where I think they scored 17 points in like the final 4 minutes here. Uh, Definitely just giving the Bears eliminating essentially any slim chance the Bears had to make the playoffs. But there's still a super outside shot as the Bears are sitting at 4-8, 13th overall in the NFC playoff hunt as of right now. Only 2 games back on the Packers and Bears. And if I look at their schedule here coming up, they do have a lot of division games left. They have the Lions, and I take that back. They just have the Packers actually in the final week. But they do play the Browns, who'll have Joe Flacco. They play the Cardinals, who that's actually going to be a very tough game. And then they play the Falcons as well on New Year's Eve, which that game could go anyway. That game was close last year. So super outside shot to get to 9-8, but they're going to have to win out, starting with this one. Lions actually now, and they're leading the division right now, kind of have a firm grasp, I would say, on the NFC North. They have a 3-game lead over both the Vikings and the Packers. And the Lions actually, they are the ones. They have 3 division games left. Bears, then 2 games left against the Vikings, which is going to be crucial, week 16 and 18. And I want to throw it to you first, Ryan, here. In this game, Bears had Lions on the ropes. Lions not play well a couple weeks ago, had 4 turnovers in that game, but were somehow able to pull out just a miracle win. What are your overall thoughts kind of on both teams so far up to this point in the season, and what do the Bears need to do to come out victorious here? And
yeah, I mean, both teams, starting with the Lions, I think the Lions, they came out with a big roar, pun intended, this year, and showed that they were the team that a lot of people had predicted them to be early on this year. And ever since then, they've kind of slowed down. They jumped out to a big lead last week against the Saints and then let the Saints crawl back in it. And actually, I believe had to score a touchdown to get it to 31-27 to actually win that game. And so for me, I think this offense has just become streaky. Part of that, I think they were in a really good rhythm with this running game with David Montgomery. And then he got hurt in the beginning half of the year. And I just don't quite think that offense has ever really been the same. Since that first David Montgomery injury. Jameson Williams, they are still working him into the offense. He has made some big plays, which has been nice to see. But right now, this offense isn't playing quite at the level that they were at the beginning of the year. And I would like to see them turn it around. This is a good Chicago defense. I believe they've held their last few opponents to pretty low scores. Let me pull it up right here.
Yep. The Vikings only scored 10 points last time we saw them on Monday Night Football on week 12. Lions just scored 31 points on them, but there were a lot of late fourth quarter points there that should have happened. But then right before that, 13 points for the Panthers and only 24 points for the Saints. And so they have had improvement. The Bears do, kind of shockingly, actually, they made that trade for Montez Sweat. And they have one of the best run defenses in the league. And that's what makes this matchup unique, is if you actually look at the team statistically, they're very, very similar from my standpoint. Bears actually just barely edge out the Lions in total rushing yards offensively by 4 yards, 1652 to 1648. Then passing wise, I take that back. Passing wise, the Lions definitely had the big advantage. And so I apologize about that. 31-59 for the Lions to just a lowly 22-27 for the Chicago Bears. I think maybe I was thinking defensively here. Let me double check. Yeah, defensively, they're both similar. Sorry, I was looking at the screen. Pretty weak passing defense overall when it comes to yards allowed, but then run defenses are both extremely stout.
Yeah. And I will be interested to see. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams could have big games, but I also think on the flip side, DJ Moore and Cole Kmet in that group could have pretty big game as well. Just because these passing offenses are or these passing defenses are not that solid. I think the Lions would have a good defense, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson's on IR. They're a little banged up on that side of the ball. Whereas the Bears, I think, are just still young and inexperienced outside of like Jalen Johnson, really. And so it's going to be an interesting matchup. These opponents know each other really well. I want to say their first matchup this year, and their two matchups last year were all decided by a point or by a score or less. And so these are always close. I will be interested to see, since Justin Fields was back last week, they only put up 12 points, but the offense did look better. Just more, I don't know. They look like they had their starting quarterback back. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, they had a couple of costly turnovers that kept the game very close, but they were able to drive the ball down the field 4 times. They were only able to get field goals. But what impressed me actually was just the front seven for the defense and how they were constantly getting Josh Dobbs under a lot of pressure. And you can say something similar, I think, as how they can potentially do that against the Lions here. Since
the Lions do have a better offensive line than the Vikings, for sure.
They have had a better offensive line, but since Halavate, that's all I'll be able to try and pronounce. But he has gone on IR, and that I think has softened up that offensive line just a little bit. And then on top of that, if you add some of the defensive injuries that have slowly been building up for the Lions throughout this offseason, throughout the season, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley are just a couple names to name up top.
I believe Alex Anzalone is on there as well. He's a linebacker, but still doesn't help.
Yeah. And so I think just the overall health for this team with the Lions here, because they have a lot of talent, but then I think maybe they don't have the depth as of right now as some of these top tier teams. Like if you go look at, well, actually, I don't think a lot of the teams really have a lot of good depth if you look at it. But in general, though, I think that's kind of been leading to a little bit of chinks in the armor. Also, too, Lions have been very turnover happy over these past 4 games. They didn't have any turnovers against the Saints, but over the 3 games before that, they had 10 turnovers total. 6 of those are attributed to Jared Goff. So if they're able to keep control of the ball, have good ball security, I mean, that's a pretty general, obvious statement. Lions should be able to exploit this weaker secondary in the Chicago Bears. But they're going to have to establish run first, and that's going to open up that entire playbook. Because if this Bears run defense can stymie David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're throwing the ball consistently, they're going to become a little bit more predictable. It's going to make for a very unique matchup in Chicago.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's going to be a much taller task this week in stopping this running game. The Vikings have one of the worst running offenses in the NFL. Just, again, getting back to that offensive line being on the weaker side. And I think that's being nice about it. So let's go ahead and get into our predictions for this game. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I, we have a goal of getting 2,333 subscribers. I know it's a unique number, but that would put us at 2,000 subscribers this calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. Tyler, who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup?
So I'm going to go with kind of my preseason gut here. I had the Lions winning the division. I think if they win this game, they'll have 4 games left into this season with a minimum of 3-game lead over the Vikings and the Packers. They play the Vikings twice in Week 16 and Week 18 here. So I think that they're just going to be able. They started to figure some stuff out, especially offensively against a Saints team, Saints defense, which say is average to above average. Definitely, and then when it comes to passing game, I think a little bit better. A lot better than the Chicago Bears. And the defense started off hot, getting some turnovers, putting the Saints in a deep hole. We'll love to see the defense. I feel like the one thing the defense has been struggling with over the past month or so is playing like a full 4 quarters. I feel like they're definitely had some lapses. While at the beginning of the year, and now, of course, team was healthy, so they had that depth on the defensive side of the ball where they can interchange these guys. I felt like it was a full 60 minutes against just one of the best defenses in the league here. So if they're able to keep ball security, Jared Goff is able to not make mistakes, turn the ball over, and they're able to establish that run, which I believe they should, even with how good the Bears front 4 is. I think that the Lions, I think, can match that and counter that and can still get their fair share of running plays. Even in that game a couple weeks ago, they saw the 115 rushing yards. Against the Chicago Bears to only 223 passing yards. So, and that's with 4 turnovers in that game. So I still like the Lions in this one, winning on the road, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely starting to look forward to the offseason here. Bears are looking like they're going to have at least the number 1 pick, with the Panthers. I don't see how the Panthers are going to win another game this season, knock on wood. And so started to do a lot of research here on potentially historical trends on what teams with number one pick, but a young rookie quarterback have done in the past. So I think we have
third year.
Sorry. A young quarterback on his rookie contract still that they drafted in the first round. And so I think there's some fun little historical pieces on like what type of trends have happened, like potential trades, what value they can get if they do decide to go from away from Justin Fields and go towards Caleb Williams. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see how Chicago kind of approaches this 2024 offseason, to say the least.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm also going to go with Detroit as well. I just think they're the better team. I think they've won the last 3 matchups when these teams have faced each other, and I kind of expect that to continue because I just feel like in the end Chicago's going to make 1 or 2 more mistakes than what Detroit is going to do. And I think when this offense is clicking, they're one of the best in the league. They haven't been able to hold that together though for 60 minutes. Like I want to see them. This is a decent defense that the Chicago Bears have. I really want to see them come out and put up a full 60-minute performance on the Chicago Bears. So I think the Lions come out ahead, but I'm not I'm not as confident now as I was at the beginning of the season that they would sweep the Bears this year. So
yeah, same. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this NFC North division matchup. Is it going to be the Detroit Lions? Is it going to be the Chicago Bears? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.